Alrighty guys, the car is complete. I have been working on this thing the past 4.5 months, trying to turbocharge it. I know a lot of you guys have been around the entire process, but in case you haven't, that's why I made this video. Building and turbocharging an RSX in under 60 minutes. I hope you guys enjoy. Well, would you look at that? Timing ended up being perfect. We were able to go out and grab the last spin in this thing. We've got the tools now. Why don't we go ahead and get her in the air? All right, hood's coming off. Probably don't need to take this off, but the way my garage lighting is set up, it's gonna help get some more light in the engine bay. A little easier to work on. So now that the car's in the air, we're gonna go stop by Jared's because we're getting the turbo powder coated. All right, we got the turbo housing all hung up. The boy Jared over here is gonna be powder coating it. We're getting Ski-Doo yellow. So Adam, he's powder coating some of his stuff too. So we have 2 pounds of Ski-Doo yellow. I'm gonna be doing mine that color. It's close enough to the spoon yellow, and we'll see how it turns out. Hopefully it turns out well. Let's get to it. Dang, she's out from the oven. She's still a little warm to the touch, but we're gonna try to get some of the tape here off of it. But so far, I mean, like, that's pretty sick. I think that's gonna look good. It should match the valve cover pretty nicely. All right guys, so it's been a week since we have gotten the car up on the stands, removed the hood, and I also messed around with the wiring, try to get that out of the way. I was hoping to get the turbo kit mocked up a lot sooner, AKA get this video out a lot earlier, but let's take a look and see why it didn't work out. This is a K20 Sidewinder turbo manifold. It looks good enough, right? Well, the runners here, when you put the gasket, which this is a Honda OEM exhaust manifold gasket, you'll see when we line it up here, you see how there's a little bit of the sidewall and the runners on both sides that are sticking out? That is not ideal. On top of that, the holes on this plate are like a 1/2 mil off. I've been waiting. 1320 came in clutch. They had a manifold that I was able to pick up and get shipped here. As you can see, the quality looks a lot better. This gasket and the bolt holes appear to line up perfectly. So there's really only one way to find out whether this is gonna fit or not. So that's the first thing we're gonna do. Mock this up, mock the turbo up, and then we'll go from there. Oh baby, she's actually on. That's huge. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna put on just 2 nuts for right now. Damn, okay, well that already looks pretty insane. But the 1320 manifold came with some hardware. We're gonna toss the hardware on, and then let's bolt this turbo up and see how she looks. Okay, we got her clocked up. I just eyed this up, I'm sure it'll be fine, but for you guys that are wondering what it is a GTX 3071R style turbo. I'm not gonna claim it's Garrett because as you can see, there's no Garrett lettering on there. A lot of you guys are gonna be like, Kyle, you should have just gotten a Garrett turbo. And my response would be, bro, have you seen the prices on those things? They're damn expensive. A Garrett turbo is probably like worth half as much as this car's worth. So I was like, you know what? We're gonna get a GTX style turbo. We're gonna go ahead and toss it in and see what it looks like. Oh God, look at that. Ugh. Finger work. All right, that's crazy. What do you think, Hunter? Is it worth it? Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Well, we're back here, Jared's hangar, because a snail is undergoing some more surgery. Let's take a look at it real quick. So last time you guys saw we were here, we got the compressor side powder coated yellow to match the valve cover. And today, we're actually gonna be working on the hot side. I'm gonna go ahead and take apart the turbo so we have just the hot side. Bang.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Bada bing, bada boom. We got a hot side now. Oh, we're back in the booth 1 week later. If you guys have never seen Cerakote before, this is what it looks like. All right, Christian, you gotta come here too. You know how the brake cleaner, or not the brake cleaner, the wheel shine smells fucking like amazing, like the grape shit?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this shit's fucking.
It smells like Meguiar's hot tire shine.
Yeah. Oh! Oh! Dude, that's like straight chlorine smelling.
Oh, you're a fucking twat. Dude, I believed you too.
Wake up in the morning, pounding in my head.
turbo's fully coated on both sides, compressor and the hot side. We don't have to touch this anymore. This is basically ready to go on the car. We're gonna be putting it on temporarily today. Our main goal is to check out the downpipe and see how that lines up. And in order to do that, we're gonna have to pull the heater core lines off and drain a little bit of coolant. So let's go ahead and get this heater core. She's gonna be pissing. I remember putting these on, not fun. Oh,
That's going just everywhere.
damn, bro. That kind of sucks, but giving it a shake, you know?
Let it out, let it out.
I mean, at least I got some in the bucket, right?
Yeah, no, like most of it went in the bucket for sure. But you got some slurp juice on the ground.
Manifold's going back in. Okay, let's get the turbo. Ooh, a lot of weight right here. A lot of power in my hands.
Earth-shattering 300 horsepower.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, turbo is bolted up, so we're gonna go ahead and get the downpipe. Let's see if she fits. You guys are about to witness like me being upset when this doesn't fit. And this is when I realized I couldn't fit the downpipe with the turbo and manifold mocked up. The clearances were just gonna be too tight. So now I need to remove them, install the downpipe first, and then I can put the manifold and turbo back in place. Fuck me, man. All right, there we go. So I just need a little bit of finessing. Oh my god, all right. Off she goes, into the abyss, wherever that went. Yeah, I fucking knew this was gonna happen, dude. That is actually like low-key dumb frustrating. Like I can't get the downpipe to position where it needs to go because that other exhaust piece is still down there. And there's oil and coolant that's just waiting to drip into my mouth and eyes. And here's when I realized that even though I couldn't remove the O2 sensors from the catalytic converter, I could just unclip them from the wiring harness and get enough slack to fit the downpipe where it needed to be. See that, guys? Now she moves. Now we can actually get her where she needs to be, and then we'll be able to check clearances and make sure that all my wires and hoses aren't gonna catch on fire or melt, because neither of those would be ideal. After mounting the turbo, I realized my biggest issue wasn't gonna be the heater core lines, when in fact, the real issue was getting the downpipe to fit properly. This heater core line, it is touching the exhaust manifold in the downpipe. However, it's not like getting pinched or anything. I think with the aftermarket hose or maybe just a little bit of anti-heat wrapping and whatnot, it might actually survive. So that's at least one good thing. As you can see here, even though the V-bands are almost perfectly lined up, I could see the downpipe still wasn't angled right towards the bottom of the car. And despite all my efforts, it's starting to look like the downpipe will need some modifications to fit exactly the way I need it to. Yeah, all right, it's time to stop putting it off. It's time to get to work on the subframe, I think. To remove the oil pan, me and Jared need to lower the subframe by a few inches. Luckily, we don't have to fully remove it. We just have to take out 4 bolts that attach the subframe to the chassis, and then remove 1 motor mount bolt that links the motor mount to the transmission. All right, Jared, move that subframe a bit. Oh yeah, the whole engine's moving. We got the subframe out, 4 subframe bolts. That was the easiest part, and then removing the motor mount bolt, front transmission motor mount bolt. And we have plenty of clearance to get this oil pan out. So we're gonna go ahead and zip all the oil pan bolts off, pry the oil pan out, and then we'll be able to send that out to Quinn to get him to weld the oil bung this weekend. So. Alrighty, so I am back from Quinn's. Last you guys saw, I took this to Quinn's shop to get an oil bung welded on. So we have our oil return line bung welded. And now we're pretty much ready to get the whole oil setup mounted in. The only thing that's holding us from doing that is I still need to get the hot side of the turbo. So downpipe, manifold, mostly the downpipe that needs to get like fabricated. We're not gonna do that quite yet, but at least now we can put the oil pan and subframe back into the car. Oh dude, I'm cooked. Yeah, I think the oil pan's gonna have to come back out. If I can fucking get the oil pan back off.
Let's go!
That's so scuff. God damn it, bro. There we go. There we go, that's lined up. Okay, oil pan is up. Where are my bolts? Just need to get like 2 bolts threaded in. And then we're going to cross our fingers and hope that no oil leaks from here.
These hands of mine have got some stories to tell. Seen parts of heaven and a whole lot of hell. Headed west to stake a claim in the ground. I got as far as Cripple Creek that night. I met a girl with golden hair and green eyes. Fell in love on the outskirts of town. Hung my heart till death do us part.
Alrighty, so I got all the oil pan bolts in and hand tightened, and now I'm just gonna work my way around tightening them all. In case anybody is wondering, the torque spec on them is 12 Newton meters. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Let's take a quick look and see what it should look like, and then you guys will be able to see if we achieve our goals. But it should sit somewhere about here. I went ahead to the store and picked up some weldable steel. I think this is what I need. So we're gonna be able to make some brackets, but we're gonna go ahead and mock up where we want the brackets to go, start cutting stuff out, and get to fabrication. So in order to remove the crash bar, I'm first gonna have to loosen the headlights. That way, I can reach the bolts holding it in place. Once those bolts are out, I'll be able to take the bar off and measure exactly where I need to mount the intercooler support brackets. All right, we got the crash bar off. Now we're gonna grind down the paint. I'll let Christian take it over from here because he's the master at welding, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna lay some nice boogers on Kyle's bash bar here. You know, some nice snotty boogers.
Yeah, so just don't look at the intercooler bracket welds if you ever see me or my car.
That's if it's still together.
True.
It's if the intercooler doesn't fall off by then.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, that's enough camera time for him.
Hell yeah. That'll be good enough. Yeah. Now we just gotta cut out some rectangles.
We got the holes. We're gonna go mock it up and see how it looks. Oh my god. Okay, our Chinesium bolts.
Grade 3 bolts.
Yeah, grade 3. Is grade 1 a thing? They might as well be made out of paper at this point. This is gonna give us a good, like, first look. Oh yeah. Yeah, we're chilling.
Line up?
For the most part. It's more like the holes are oversized, which is good.
Oh yeah.
See how she fits. Or maybe this was supposed to be a pipe that I tossed in before. Nah, we're gonna make it work. Well, it didn't fit. And what I'm about to find out is that with this intercooler setup, I'm gonna have to remove the crash bar in order to fit this pipe, and then reinstall everything. Well, I should have put this pipe on before I put it in the car.
I see.
Let's take it off. All right, we need to make one more bracket, and then we'll get a final look of the intercooler mounted up on the RSX. So yeah. All right, well, there she is. We got all the brackets welded in, and I have 2 bolts on the top. The intercooler didn't come with a 3rd bolt, so I'm gonna have to go source that myself. It looks pretty good, if you ask me. I just can't wait to actually be using it. We've got our MIG welder here, and we're gonna try to modify the downpipe, because right now it's not gonna fit, especially with the subframe. It's gonna need a little bit of modification. I don't know if we're gonna actually fully weld everything together. The main goal here is to just tack stuff together, and the worst case scenario, I gotta bring just the downpipe to Adam, and he's gonna get the rest of the welds in, but I'd rather just bring a downpipe than the whole car. So we're just gonna go ahead and hop right into it. We're gonna remove the downpipe first, and then we're gonna get to cutting and welding. All right, so we moved downstairs. So we're gonna hope that we're down here for a short time and that the angle grinder comes in clutch. Only one way to find out. Well, it's definitely not straight. Yeah, we'll see how that impacts the outcome. I guess worst case scenario, we can grind it down and make it as flat as possible, but it's going all right. And that is how you destroy your downpipe and have to buy another one. Well, ideally, we're gonna want to angle it like this. That's a lot of filler we're gonna have to put in. Now that the pipe's cut, Carter's going in with the grinding wheel to smoothen out those edges before we start any welding.
Okay.
So we've got both sides of the downpipe that I just completely messed up cutting at. We got it grinded down so it's a little bit smoother. We're gonna turn it about 1/8 of a turn, tack it, put the manifold and the turbo back in since I have to put the downpipe in first and then the manifold and the turbo. Bolt the V-band up and see how it sits.
There we go.
Hell yeah!
It's a little big for a tack, but I figured this is probably best for right now because we need it to be held in this position while we tack it one more place on the other side. There we go. That is our first weld ever. That's a much better tack this time. Not as big or anything, and that will definitely hold this pipe together.
Now that the downpipe is all tacked up, I can reinstall the exhaust manifold and the hot side of the turbo. Once that's done, I can bolt everything together and make sure that the angle is exactly what I was looking for. And would you look at that? It's perfect. Now the next challenge is going to be fitting the second half of the downpipe so it perfectly aligns with the updated geometry and clears the front sway bar.
That looks straight-ish.
Yeah.
If you look at it from this side, it looks f***ed up because it is. But we have a metal gluer with us,
We do have a metal gluer.
so we can close any gap. We've gotten to the point where we are going to put the actual downpipe assembly on with the O2 sensor bongs on it. So for this to work, we ran into a little bit of clearancing issues. We are going to make what is essentially a pie cut. I've only seen this on YouTube Shorts, but to actually make a pie cut, you start with one distance, and on the bottom, you want that to converge into one point, which should be in between those. So theoretically, they get a nice radius going down here, all the way down, keep going down. We will get our perfect pie cut. Now, will this work the way I expect it to? I'm sure that's a no. However, this is about as close as we can get currently with the tools we have. So I think it should work. All right, that right there is our pie cut. Hopefully this will allow us to get the angle we need with his exhaust. If not, we have this kind of weird cut right here. If we need to, maybe we'll stack them up like that. I don't know. We'll see here in a second after mocking it up, and if all goes well, hopefully we will be tacking the entire downpipe / exhaust assembly.
All right, well, we got the pie cut all taped in. Carter's gonna give it some tacks.
Yeah, we're gonna glue some metal. I'm not sure if we're gonna glue all the metal, but we're gonna try.
Nice, dude.
It's not pretty, but it'll work. We've been playing around with settings on this welder. This is an entirely Amazon setup, by the way. We got this gas bottle, this cart, and this welder off of Amazon. So you can do anything with $250.
Carter was able to tack up this little pie cut that we made, and it may not be the prettiest, but thankfully we got our job done, which is just tacking it all in place and making sure this doesn't fall apart on the ride over to the shop where we're gonna find Adam. I would say it was a pretty successful day. On to part 2. We've got the delivery.
We've got a hefty gap that we need to close.
Yes.
By God, we're going to close it.
Mr. Adam is gonna close the gap since the welding setup here is a little bit nicer than the mobile welding cart. And then we're also gonna do a little deeper dive on this thing.
Possibly.
Possibly.
If it starts.
If it starts. Yes, so we're calling it Master Fabricator.
Look at the shit they want me to weld. Can you believe this shit? They said, we got a little bit of a gap. I'm like, brother, what the f?
Adam was able to finish the welds on both downpipe pieces, and despite them maybe not looking perfect, they're gonna function just fine. Stick around because I'll be showing the downpipe results later. All right, so you guys might have thought we were done, but we're not quite finished yet. We still have to figure out how we're gonna route the wastegate and fab that up. So that's what Carter and I are doing right now. We're gonna run an AutoZone and pick up a 90-degree pipe to hopefully help us route it. I'll show you guys what we're thinking as soon as we get back. And we got the V-band as well, so we can make sure that the pipe fits the OD of this. But yeah, we're gonna head to the store and then right back home. So we're running into wastegate routing issues again. The way I had originally planned on routing the wastegate isn't gonna work. There's just not enough room for a 90-degree or anything. The only other possibility would be a recirc, and even then it's gonna be like a 90-degree T-section recirc, which is not ideal at all. So the other option is to go over the heater core line and I guess kind of down the middle of the block. So I'm gonna go ahead and give my tuner Quinn a call, see what he says, because he's boosted a bunch of Ks before, and hopefully he can give me some insight, although I feel like you only need a few brain cells to take a look at this and realize that I'm f***ed. I'm gonna hope that he somehow has some miracle idea of what to do. Yo, we have a kind of an issue. I want your opinion.
What direction is the outlet of the gate facing?
It's facing this way. Well, right now it's facing this way.
Did someone make that downpipe for you, or that's just how it was?
Well, it's how it was, and then we actually cut it up and modified it to fit. The downpipe will run fine, but yeah, I know what you're seeing. It looks kind of funky.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like your only option's gonna have to be to go over that heater coolant hose or coolant fitting. Say, just point it straight, like kind of in line with the downpipe.
Okay.
As long as it's over that fitting, and you can just get a regular hose and a clamp on that.
Right.
Slide, like, you know, go get the heat sleeve shit and slide it back on that hose, put the hose on and slide the whole thing over it.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Peace. First things first, we need to make a cut. The only problem is
we don't have that much space. Matter of fact, looking from the top down, we have the diameter plus about an inch to make a 90-degree turn down. And if you're looking at that from the top and you're kind of wondering, where should I cut? You should do this. So we have about 1 3/4 inches for our outside diameter. So what we do is we go 1 inch beyond that, and we'll go up here and we'll trace it and we'll cut right there. And hopefully that'll work.
hopefully. So here, I'm checking the fitment to make sure no further cuts are needed. And so far, so good. Next, Carter's gonna lay down some tacks, and after that, I can test fit it one more time. All right, we got her all tacked up. We're gonna go ahead and mock it up and make sure everything fits. And if it does, we're gonna move on to the rest. Thankfully, the piece that I cut off earlier is like the exact angle we're gonna need. So we'll basically just be able to stack this kind of like that, and should be in business. Well, let's get this on. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's a little bit of a gap on the bottom. Yeah, we probably want a little bit more of a gap. All right, we're gonna modify the V-band. That's why we tacked it. All right, the dump tube is on the car. I think we killed it for $10 of pipe and a Amazon MIG welder. We were not only able to fabricate a wastegate dump tube, but we were also able to modify the downpipe and make sure that all that fits. So I'm pretty impressed with Carter's welding ability. And I also learned some welding too. It was a little off camera, but I did also weld on my own car. I guess the question is, can you fab up your own exhaust and wastegate dump tube with basically zero experience? And for me, I guess zero welding experience. And the answer would be yes. If you have the tools and you have the commitment and the drive to do it, you can absolutely do it. The exhaust manifold for the Teggy, Zach just re-welded it. He moved the wastegate, like where the wastegate bolts onto, he moved that to the side instead of underneath. So it's just gonna be much better placement all around, and I won't have to worry about completely melting or blowing up my heater core lines. So we're on our way to go pick that up right now, but that's why I haven't really been doing much on that car either. You guys haven't seen that car, more like this video is delayed. I'm like 99.9% sure everything's gonna fit perfectly. We're not gonna have any clearance issues. We're not gonna have any heat issues. And we're gonna be able to like actually keep progress going here. So yeah, that's what we're up to. Ooh, she hefty. But we got her all fixed up so you can see. Thank you, Isaiah. You can see this is where the wastegate used to be placed here. Zach cut that off, put a little plate over it, and moved it to the side. So this is gonna be a lot better for fitment, and then we'll be able to clock this any way we really need and fab up a wastegate dump tube as well. So we're gonna go ahead and toss this in the back because I don't really wanna drive with it on my lap. Catch you guys back at home. We've got our manifold back from Zach's, and we're gonna go toss it on the car and make sure, I need my nuts, hold on. All right, I got my nuts. Gotta make sure that this fits. What we need to check is the wastegate fitment. All right, now, instead of having to deal with a wastegate that sits on the bottom here, we're gonna have our wastegate sitting right back here. Plenty of room for it. The only thing I'm slightly concerned about is this fuel line right here. It is kind of close, but I might be able to kind of zip tie it back or somehow modify this bracket to keep that fuel line back. However, good thing about it is the part that's gonna get closest to it is going to be this black portion, which I'm sure will get hot, but hopefully it won't get too hot. It's gonna be mainly these metal bits right here that are gonna get super hot. And I've got plenty of heat wrap for it, so we should be fine. So here, I'm slipping the MAC valve into the MAC valve bracket, making sure to pull all the wiring through. Then I'm using the hardware included with the bracket to secure the MAC valve so it stays put. Next, I'm testing out different bolt holes between the upper and lower to see which orientation I like best. And here you can see I went with the upside down orientation mounted to the bottom hole. Lastly, I'm pulling the wiring through the ECU and tucking as close to the firewall as possible. Alrighty, so this is a fuse tap. You can get these from AutoZone for pretty cheap. And that way I'll be able to tap some power for the MAC valve. So I believe, I'm almost 100% sure, the wire we're gonna have to cut is gonna be on harness B, and it's specifically gonna be pin B21. But I'm gonna double check before I cut the wrong wire and then we have a bad wiring harness. Here it goes, permanent ECU wiring harness damage, about to be done. And now my car will never start or run ever again.
Where's the other end of that wire?
Good question, Kyle. Thank you for asking. The other end of the blue and yellow wire actually goes to the EVAP solenoid that sits on your throttle body in these cars. I could have also pulled it from there, but that is not really close to where the MAC valve is gonna be. So it's gonna be easier for me to just cut down here and use some of my own wiring to just have it go through the firewall, make a quick left, and wire into the MAC valve. So I'm gonna go get the soldering iron and we're gonna take care of that. Now, the way the MAC valve works, one of them has to go to 12 volt, the other one has to be a ground, which goes to the ECU. Doesn't really matter which one though, there's no polarity on it, so I'm just gonna grab one wire and we're gonna go ahead and solder that to the B21 extension that we just made. And then the next step after that is gonna be getting the 12 volt tap from the fuse box under the dash, and then we're gonna do the same thing, route it, snip it, solder it. Let's get it. Today we're finally going to solve an issue that I've been worrying about the past few months, and that is the coolant lines. These coolant lines specifically run from the block to the heater core. Previously, it was going to be pretty difficult to get the lines to run from the block to the core without them melting or blowing up. However, with the new wastegate change, we have a whole lot of room to work with. First, we need to remove the lower coolant hose from the heater assembly. And if there's one thing I learned from working on Christian's Mustang, it's that you don't want to yank on these too hard. Otherwise, you risk cracking the core, which means pulling out the dash and replacing the whole unit. Oh yeah, there we go. Next, we're going to slide our extended Gates 28471 heater hose onto the heater core and clamp it down. There we go. Looks good. Hell yeah. Now I'm removing the last coolant hose, which goes to the heater control valve. This valve regulates how much coolant flows to the heater core so that we can adjust the cabin temperature. So for the 30th time, the exhaust manifold is going on, and along with that, the hot side of the turbo as well. And then I'll bolt the downpipe to that. As you can see, this is the gap I'll be working with. I need to get one of my coolant lines through here, and then I decided I'll route the longer coolant hose next to the fuel line underneath the steering rack and underneath the downpipe and turbo. And would you look at that? I was able to get the coolant line perfectly between the downpipe and the exhaust headers. Boys, it has arrived. We've got our 3/4 of an inch inner diameter heat protective heat shielding. And we have the 1-inch stuff too. So this is gonna go in the coolant pipes. This is gonna go on the power steering and fuel lines. Once these are on, I think we can get everything tucked away up against the firewall. Let's get it. So first, I'm gonna disconnect the fuel line from the fuel rail. Then I'll slide the heat shielding over the fuel line all the way up to where the wastegate diaphragm will sit. After that, I'll tighten the fuel line back onto the rail and move on to the power steering. Here, I'm removing the power steering line, then I'll take the same heat shielding and slide it all the way over, making sure it reaches across the engine bay. Finally, I'll reinstall the power steering line at a better angle so it stays clear of the hot exhaust. All right, well, I'm actually really stoked about how that turned out. Now I'm working on the coolant lines. I think the first thing we gotta do is the easy one, which is this line right here. As you guys saw yesterday, we got that one pretty much sat exactly where we need it to be. So yeah, let's get to that. And just like with the fuel and the power steering lines, the first thing I'm gonna do is remove the coolant hose. Then I'll cut the heat sleeving to the correct length, slide it over the coolant line, and reinstall it. After that, I'll move on to the longer coolant line. Same process, slide the heat sleeving on, route it where it needs to go, and then reattach it to the coolant hardline on the engine block. Now that the manifold is in its final form, I thought I might as well Cerakote it. Back at Jared's hangar, and we've got armor black Cerakote that we're gonna toss on it. I think that's gonna look good. Won't match the turbo, but it's okay. But yeah, it's already almost 10 p.m., so we're gonna get things going, get things moving, and yeah, hopefully it turns out well. Yeah, she's getting there. It's getting there. She's actually going in the oven for real. Oven's actually set. So we're gonna let her cook and gas out all the extra oils and contaminants and stuff like that that might be trapped in the metal, and then let it cool down a little bit and get to Cerakoting. I bet it smells terrible too. Is it bad? Let me give her a quick sniff. Oh! I didn't take much of an inhale because of that. Yo! That was bad.
So now that the Cerakote has been sitting for probably about, I don't know, honestly only 2 minutes, I'm seeing it starting to become more of a matte slash satin finish, and I'm honestly not too sad about that. I think it looks pretty good. You can see down here it's still wet and it's very glossy, but up top here it's kind of like a satin matte finish. I guess we'll just have to find out.
Well, there we are. That's a much more finished look of what it should look like when it goes on my car. I don't think I could ask for much better. That's a great finish. Good morning, guys. We have some quick updates to go through. First and foremost, the exhaust manifold you guys saw me just pick up in the last clip. Well, we got her mounted on the car, and it looks pretty nice. In other news, Zach came over yesterday. He tacked together the wastegate dump tube, and he took that home with him along with the rest of my exhaust, because he's just going to be joining the downpipe to the rest of the exhaust. So today we're actually going to put together the turbo for hopefully the last time, and we can actually wrap the downpipe with the exhaust header wrap. But yeah, let's hop right into it. I'm removing the hot side of the turbo because it's going to be a lot easier to assemble on the table instead of trying to do it in the car. Now, I'm carefully inserting the cold side and the turbo core into the hot side. Then I'll caulk the core so the oil feed line points straight up. Fasten the hot side down, and after that, I'll flip the turbo, loosen the compressor housing so that I can mount it in the engine bay and get the compressor side caulked exactly right. Next, I'm going to mount the AN10 oil return line fitting on the bottom of the core, and pull the plastic tabs out of the coolant inlet and outlet, since I won't be using a water-cooled turbo setup. And now, we're ready to mount the turbo to the manifold. Here's the wastegate dump tube. Second piece of new information, the exhaust. She's down there. We're gonna start off by tackling the wastegate plumbing. So we got the MAC valve all figured out, wired in, and mounted last episode. Let's go plumb. So this is how we're gonna plumb the MAC valve. Port 1 is gonna go into the top of the wastegate. Port 2 is gonna get teed into the bottom of the wastegate, and the third section of the T is gonna go into the compressor housing of the turbo. In case you guys are confused, here's the diagram. I'll pop it up on screen. Yeah, I'm gonna need a clamp for that.
That hose ain't fitting.
The hose ain't fitting. Where's my T? Where did I put my T? How did I lose the T? It's right here. Yeah, that fits really nice too. It's just these two. That's fine. Good thing we have 2 hose clamps. I'm not gonna be running very much boost, but I'd rather not find out that my wastegate isn't working when I overspin my turbos. I'd rather just take care of the issue now. That's on there real well. Great. We're gonna measure out how much vacuum hosing we're gonna need. I'm gonna try to keep it away from the manifold as much as possible. And right about back here is where we're gonna put the T. So the T fitting should sit like so. And we'll snip a little bit of vacuum line to put in there. But that means we can snip the hose about right here. So now we can take this piece, slip it through the T, just like that. Got it. And that isn't going anywhere. Bang. Now we have our T junction right here. And the very last bit, we have all this length, and then we're gonna have this line route right in here, and it's gonna come right up into the turbo. I'm gonna give myself a little bit of slack. I'll toss a zip tie over that one. All right, there we go. Oil feed and drain lines are about to go in. These are both from DC5 Creations, and they both already have that fiberglass heat shielding. So that's super nice. This is the drain line. We're gonna toss this in right now. So the oil feed line, that part was a lot easier. I'm just dropping the line down the back of the block, and then I'll go ahead and finger tighten the AN4 fitting on top of the turbo. There we go. All right, I need a step down bit to drill a hole in the intercooler pipe for the IAT sensor, which is the only real modification that we have to do. The other modification to the intercooler piping that we have to do is cut, I'll show you. Gotta cut this pipe down to size so that it fits with the turbo that I'm running. So the kit came with 3 different pipes, so you could fit different turbo kits for the K series, whether it's Sidewinder or like a log manifold in the back. Let's get to it. So this is a oil pressure switch that can be found on a lot of the K-Series motors from Honda. So these are tapered threads, they aren't straight. If you put too much torque on it, it will crack your block. How this is gonna work is I'm gonna thread this into my block, and then I'm gonna thread the pressure switch, just like that, into here, and then we're gonna put the feed line on top. That is probably good. All right. There. All right. Now that the oil pressure switch and feed line are connected, I'm moving on to reinstalling the rest of the exhaust, while Carter works on heat wrapping the wastegate dump tube. The last thing here is getting the intercooler piping all set. I need to install the 2 modified pipes, the shortened one from the compressor housing, and the second one with the hole for the IAT sensor. Once they're in place, I'm going to go around and make sure all the clamps and hoses are tightened down. Let me make sure there's not leak spawning underneath my car. Okay, we're good, we're good.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a turbo Honda with a laptop, so nothing can go wrong now.
Yeah, no, for real. You can see how dirty this car is. It's been a long time since it's seen the road. It's been a long time since it's seen the car wash. It's about damn time we get this thing up and going. All right.
First cranks on the Hellcat killer.
Yep, pretty much. All right, you guys ready?
All right, we're ready.
Leak.
Oil.
It's probably from your oil pressure.
I can't completely tell.
Oh, no, I know where that's coming from.
Where's it coming from?
My oil filter.
Bro doesn't have an oil filter in. Oh my god.
Yo, this cannot go on there.
No, you're not letting this out of the video. Bro. That better f***ing go in the video.
Bro, forgot an oil filter.
I just saw him dip the oil filter on the ground.
I did not touch the ground though.
Yo, you cannot install a dry oil filter.
Oh my god, that's fucking hilarious, dude. Yeah, that was really retarded.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it out here. All right, this is our attempt to create oil pressure. Our first attempt. Yeah, I don't see anything.
Yeah, like realistically.
Realistically, you shouldn't have anything to worry about.
Yeah, it's just I'm just worried about the leaks and shit like that. That's what I'm worried about. All right. I mean, I figured it was gonna run, but yeah, dude. Let's go. Let's go. The car runs, but we still can't drive it because there are 3 things we still have to do. Take care of the throttle cable, install a fire extinguisher, and most importantly, get this O2 sensor installed. The O2 sensor won't be something we're gonna be using to get from here to the dyno shop, but while the car's up in the air, we might as well toss it on now. That way when we go to dyno day, it'll be ready to get programmed in and utilized. So we're gonna take care of that first. And we're actually gonna have to take the ECU out and pin an analog input. Let's get it. Imagine. In order to have the ECU read the input from the O2 sensor, we're gonna have to wire in an analog harness directly to the K-Pro V4 chip found inside the ECU, and we're gonna have to modify the box as well. Alrighty, we've got the hole drilled for our ECU, so we're gonna go ahead and get the wires routed here. I'm gonna show you guys a quick trick so that you don't accidentally pull like wires out from the prongs here. See how the wires are sitting pretty nice there? We don't want these wires to accidentally get tugged and cause any damage. So what we're gonna do is take a small zip tie, wrap it. Now we're going to slide it right in front of the hole here, and we're gonna go ahead and tighten her down real nice. You can see we cannot pull this any further. Perfect. Screws are going back in. And there we go. We are done with the ECU. Now we can go down and wire in our analog 1 to our O2 sensor, and that's what we'll be left with, just the red cable. That'll do it. Like, look at that shit, that's disgusting. All right, now that that's done, we can move on to drilling. The idea here is to cleanly install the wideband controller in the glove box. That way, anytime I need to calibrate it or check its status, I can just open the glove box and see it. Look at that, perfect. All right, so now I'm putting 3M tape on the back of the wideband controller. After that, I'll slide both the 8-pin and the power and analog input wires through the holes I just drilled. Bang. Then we'll get the glove box reassembled and everything should be set. There we go. We have got ourselves a good connection. Now that the analog input is solder sealed, Kyle is connecting the ground and power wires. Meanwhile, I'm under the steering column prepping the fuse tap to supply power to the wideband controller. And the last 2 things to do are installing the ECU and crimping the power wires into the fuse tap I added earlier. We've got our LC2 controller wired up there. Once we get the power wired in, we can go ahead and calibrate the O2 sensor, get that threaded into the exhaust, connect everything up, and we'll be good as far as the O2 sensor is concerned. We're back. We've got the right fuse adapter this time. We're gonna go ahead and just snip this where it needs to be. And this is just a crimping connector, so no heat or flame required. Yay! Oh yeah, taking our 20 amp fuse sender home. Why is this being such a bitch to go in? Come on, buddy, go home. Hopefully this fuse never blows. We're going to calibrate it now. Apply power, it'll go green, and then now it's gonna flash red, and we're gonna let that go for a minimum of 30 seconds. Power down, and then we're gonna plug it in. There it is, flashing really fast. Solid green.
Hey.
Flash the light up, perfect.
That was easy.
Yeah, that was easy. So now we can go ahead and get the O2 sensor in the exhaust. It's finally time. Dude, this is actually like crazy because this car's been up on jack stands for the past, what, 3.5 months now? It's gonna be interesting to see how low it is because every time I see my car up on jack stands for an extended period of time, I get used to the height. And then as soon as I lower it, I'm like, damn, dude, my car is slammed. Yeah, dude, this thing is like
this thing's slammed.
Like it's actually like so low. Almost doesn't seem right. Like I forgot how low this car actually was. Damn. And here it was, finally moving under its own power. Something that I've been waiting to see for the past 3.5 months. Felt unreal. This is actually insane. I gotta take a picture of this for the snap thing. And if you haven't already, I think seeing this car drive definitely deserves a subscribe, since we've put in so much work and effort to get to this point. While we're driving, dude, this is insane. It's been so long since I've driven this car. I do still smell that. I think that's gotta be the heat wrap.
It's gotta be the hose.
Or that. So, we got the car started and driven in the last episode. However, we ran into a slight issue. Our downpipe is running into the steering rack, and I can only get like 50% of the full turning radius when I'm turning left. I would rather take care of it now than drive like that. Next, we're removing this intercooler pipe so that we can remove the turbo from the exhaust manifold. Then we're gonna unbolt the turbo and get it out of the way. That way we have access to the downpipe. And the last thing to do was to remove the oil return line, except I messed up. Because the other thing I realized too, and why removing the drain line was a bad idea, is this is like the same height as the oil of my engine. So I'm draining all the oil out of my engine right now. I'm so dumb, but there's nothing much I can do about that. Unfortunately, this was brand new oil, but we did get the downpipe out. We're gonna be getting nice and loud tonight, so we have to protect our ears. But here's the fun part. We're gonna smack the out of my downpipe, and we're gonna pray that I don't destroy my downpipe and have to get it re-welded anywhere. And before removing the downpipe, I took some photos of the area I would need to dent in. It's pretty much like this whole area needs to get dented in a good bit. So that's what we're gonna go for. Here, I'm heating the downpipe to make the metal more malleable, so that way I can hopefully dent it without cracking it. Not too bad, not too bad. I mean, if anything, that's definitely more room. I definitely created more room. Now, the proper thing to do would be to put it on and test fit it and make sure it works. So I probably will do that before I make the same mistake. And yeah, and then we have an issue. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this cool down for a bit. And then we're gonna toss it on the car, make sure everything fits and I can go the full way left and right. And then we're done.
If I take it back out and hammer it again.
Yeah,
Take it back and I
yeah.
have to take it out and hammer it again.
That's what we're trying to not do.
Yo, Kyle, why are you taking it out?
Yo, bro, I'm taking off my turbo and the downpipe out again because my scientific findings showed that the downpipe wasn't gonna fit. So now it has to come back out again. Yippee! All right, so I'd honestly rather not talk about it. You can look at the back of my shirt and I think you can get the idea. It wanted to fight us on getting the exhaust in. I don't know why. Weird, because I really doubt that we changed the angling of the downpipe at all. Doesn't matter. It was a fucking pain in the ass to put on. We finally got the exhaust on. I'm pissed that I lost hella oil. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but I'm stupid and I unbolted the drain plug to get more room to get the turbo, you know, move the turbo and shit. And I probably drained like 4 quarts of oil onto myself with no oil pan. So now I have an oil spill I have to clean up. Yeah, there's so much room there. There should be no issues.
Yeah, dude, you got a 1/2 inch probably to the bar. It's a little hard to see on the camera just because I can't get the whole way in, but there is a 1/2 inch from farther up. You're good. It's honestly got more clearance when you put it on the ground just because it goes up into where it's more bashed in.
So there we go. We've got the coolant hose swapped out. This is a pretty common mod on these K-Series motors, especially if you go with an aftermarket intake, whether that's a turbo kit or just a cold air intake. And the very last thing we need to do is put the intake and intake filter on. So let's do that real quick. And there we are, ladies and gents, a complete turbo K-Series. She looks pretty insane.
Don't get irrational. There's nothing like passing her. I might come back for more, and she might fall back in love. The camera been flashing up. It's about time, get the packing up.
All right, so it is now time to toss the bumper on. We're gonna get a first look at what it should look like, and hopefully everything fits well. Although I have a feeling we're gonna run into some clearance issues. Now what I'm doing here is drumming out bits of plastic from the front bumper. I'm then gonna mock it up on the car, check if it fits, and then take it off and Dremel out some more. So it looks like basically this entire section of intercooler piping is running into this section of plastic right here. I won't be losing too much structural integrity. There'll be plenty of plastic around it. I'm hoping I'll be all right. And believe it or not, this actually took me a lot longer than you would expect. I ended up taking the bumper on and off probably about a dozen times. But finally, we got our result. I was able to get the bumper on and it actually looks pretty good. I gotta say, like from a distance with the intercooler, dude, like this thing actually looks so mean. Surprisingly, it took me a little longer to modify the front bumper than I thought, but like, damn, take a look at that. This is also a test of the steering angle. See if that's better.
Dang, whose Civic is that?
So the main thing here is I'm really not trying to make any boost, and also I think the throttle cable is like a little finicky. I feel like this can't go any worse than the very first drive I took it on. It can only be better. All right, that's so much better. So we can actually make left turns now.
That's a clean gap. We're good.
Oh, let go.
Yeah,
That'll work. Sick. All right, so we are officially on the road. So far, we haven't had any issues. The only slight hiccup that I've come across is I'm kind of low on fuel. And unfortunately, with this fuel pump, for some reason, I've been having an issue with fuel slosh when it's really low. I was trying to keep the fuel as low as possible because again, I don't want to spend money just to pump 93 out since I'm switching to E85. But I need to actually make it to the dyno. So I think we're gonna stop by Sheets up here, get like a gallon, maybe a gallon and a half of 93 to just get us to the dyno. So yeah, fingers are crossed. Everything seems to be going well so far. You guys saw us put some 93 in. We're gonna just go ahead and drain as much of the 93 out from the fuel tank as possible. Honestly, I guess we'll just push it onto the dyno here. Yeah, we've been letting her cool down for quite a bit, and then we're gonna fill her up with E85. Might have to run out to the Sheets and get more E85. I guess we'll just have to see, but let's get this fuel drained. Okay, so we've got the spark plugs gapped, and this is the very, very last thing we need to install before she is ready to make some power, and that is our Skunk 2 4-bar map sensor. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap this in for the OEM one, and then put some E in her and get some runs.
Oh, snap.
The E is going in. That sounds pretty insane. Holy shit.
This thing sounds nuts, dude.
it, boys. Well, boys, the car is dynoed. We've spent so much time, money, and effort into putting this car together that I think it only deserves to get taken on a rip. Let's get it. This car made a whopping 320 wheel horsepower and 240 wheel torque. Now, for a car that only weighs about 2,600 pounds, she's pretty peppy. So you might be wondering, how come I only made 320? Well, there were basically two factors that would have allowed me to make more power on the dyno yesterday. Because I'm returnless, I don't have a genuine fuel pressure regulator, it's just my fuel pump. And since I'm on E85, I have to squirt 35 to 40% more fuel than had I been on pump gas. So if I had either a return style system, or if I was on 93, I would have made, Quinn says, up to probably about 400. I also got Kyle here, who will give you some genuine reactions.
This thing is fast. This is about to be the Saline Killer, BMW Destroyer, Hellcat Heckler. Holy shit.
Fun, right?
Yeah, holy shit. Dude.
So stoked to be able to take her out to Cars and Coffees, car meets, all of the above. But let's get some two-step, because doing the block off plate has been a lot of fun. Kind of poser, but it sounds cool.
Oh my god.
It sounds pretty crazy. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, you're gonna damage your turbo. Oh. Well, that's why I got a really cheap, shitty turbo. So if I ever need to replace it, I can just replace it, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think it sounds great. And now we're gonna let Kyle take her for a spin. The first person, other than myself, to drive it.
You hear that over there, right?
Yeah, I can hear
it. Yeah! We're actually driving the speed limit and it's just so fun. Oh my god.
Yeah, this car's always been a pretty fun car. Super light, nimble, easy to take around the corners. And the acceleration has never been that bad, even when it was NA. But now it's just 10 times better.
Nice low RPM Su-22 right here. Oh yeah. Tunnel. Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Should I two-step it? Okay, yeah. Let's get out of here.
I have ever known, and to think that you are mine alone. There is no.
Alrighty guys, well that was turbocharging my RSX in under 60 minutes. I hope you guys did enjoy. Quick shout out to all the homies that helped me along the way, whether that was filming, actually wrenching on the car, troubleshooting. Also another huge shout out to Christian Levenga for helping me film that intro, that banger ass intro that you guys saw at the very beginning of this video. He did an awesome job putting that together. But yeah, that's a wrap on the car for now. We're not done with it, don't worry. We just had to make it a little bit quicker so that when it looks nice, it has a reason to look nice. Go down, hit that like and subscribe button. We are on the journey to 10,000 subscribers. With that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Pull the max out, it's time to spaz out. My last straw, already passed out. I'ma cash count my